Hi, Lainey Johnson coming to you from Newport Beach, California. As I was beginning to prepare for my final video of the year, I began to think of 2020 in review. I think it's safe to say that in March, when COVID-19 became a global pandemic and the very first shelter in place was implemented, that most of us thought it was going to be 2 weeks and then we'd piece back into normal life. And as we all know, that's not what happened. We've had multiple shelters in place and we're still wrestling with cases. We're hopeful now with the vaccine. However, there's a lot to be understood about this virus and the long-term effects. But with that being said, what I realized for myself is the most important currency as we go into 2021 is certainty. And what 2020 has taught me are things to be certain of. And I want to share those with you today. So the first thing that I've learned to be certain in 2020 is stocks go up, stocks go down. What's more important is that your financial advisor has risk measures in place with your portfolio construction before the markets go down, and that you don't participate in all of the financial anxiety when we're experiencing down markets. The second thing that I've learned to be certain of in 2020 is expect the unexpected. Nobody thought a virus could upend our lives, and it did, for all of us. The third thing I've learned to be certain in 2020 is that we will get through the unexpected, that it may not be pretty, it may not be easy, it may not be without a lot of emotion, a lot of angst, a lot of anxiety, but we will get through it. The next thing I learned to be certain in 2020 is that good advice is priceless. If you have people in your life that can be good counsel to you, lean into it, draw from their wisdom. The next thing I learned to be certain in 2020 is that if you've been blessed, it's an opportunity for you to be a blessing. It was 5 trading sessions that wiped away 40% of my business's revenue, and I certainly thought we were going back to 2008, 2009. And as the markets surprisingly rebounded so quickly, I found myself in this place of feeling just the great privilege of being able to help people around me that were in extreme financial duress as a result of the pandemic, and being able to pour not only physical things into them, but love, goodness, and my presence, digitally, virtually, of course. The next thing that I learned to be certain in 2020 is liability management is important. Working to mitigate and minimize debt is important, especially in times of uncertainty. When financial strains can all of a sudden be thrusted on you, the less debt you have, the more peace of mind you'll have. The next thing I learned to be certain in 2020 is that your spiritual and mental health are important, whatever that looks like for you. Being anchored in something that roots you in positivity, that you align with something greater than yourself, it's important. So I encourage you to lean into that for yourself. The next thing that I learned to be certain in 2020, friends and family matter, loneliness sucks. And having a support system is essential. The next thing that I learned in 2020 is that our grandparents and their grandparents have gone through the same emotions that we've experienced this year. It may not have been a virus, it may not have been a pandemic, it could have been poverty, it could have been war, it could have been global tensions, it could have been political tensions, it could have been racial injustice, but they've experienced the same emotions we've experienced and they've made it through. They forged the way for us. The next thing that I learned to be important and certain in 2020 is a guide is better than a map. And I hope that you have a compass that is helping guide you for the life that you want to live. The next thing that I learned to be certain in 2020, there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun, and this too shall pass. The next thing that I learned to be certain in 2020 is something that I'm diligently working at in my life. And it's that there's very little in this world that I have control over. There's very little that I can change. And so I work very, very diligently on, if it's something that bothers me that I have no control over or no ability to change, I work at letting that have zero impact on me, almost as if it's never happened. It's like developing a new muscle, but the less energy I give to things that I have zero control over, the more energy I have to give to the things that I can affect change with. So those are some of the lessons that I've learned in 2020, to be certain. And those are some of the principles that I'm bringing into 2021 for me, to let it be one of the best years ever. So I'm curious, what have you learned in 2020? I would love to hear what you've learned in 2020. Wishing you all the best, peace, happiness, and safety to you and your families in this holiday season.